Is it going to be down the wire in United States? Well, the numbers are on your screens right now. The counting is underway and clearly the stage is set for a high voltage presidential battle in United States. Now, early results show the Democratic presidential-elect Joe Biden is leading over Trump, and that is because he's got about 85 electoral votes as of now, Trump at 55. There is a lot of fear at this point of civilian unrest. Nearly 100 million people have already cast their ballots in early voting. The US is on course for its highest voter turnout in more than a century. The counting is on and all eyes are currently on the key swing states. Let me just read out some of the results that have come in. Remember that the counting is underway. In states like Florida as well as Georgia, you've got Trump taking a slight lead there. A very, very small margin that Trump is leading over. At this point, 88% of the results have been reported in Florida, only 18% in Georgia. Both these states are very, very crucial. And then you've got several other states like New Hampshire, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas. All of these states, you've got, in fact, Joe Biden leading. Too early to talk about Pennsylvania because you've got only about 4% of the results that have been reported so far. But at that point in Pennsylvania, you've got Biden leading by 81.2%. So considerable margin there. But again, as I mentioned, the counting has just begun in most of these states. Security being beefed up across America. Vital government installations are on high alert, while the Secret Service has also fortified the White House.
No, I'm not thinking about concession speech or acceptance speech yet. Hopefully, we'll be only doing one of those two. And, you know, winning is easy. Losing is never easy. Not for me, it's not.
Presidents can't determine what votes counted and not counted. And, you know, voters determine who's president. This isn't going to... No matter what he does, no matter what he says, the votes are going to be counted.
Do you feel a responsibility to respond, though, or say something?
No, I don't. I mean, look, it depends on what he says and how he says it. But, you know, I don't feel a responsibility to respond. And by the way, as you've seen some of the articles written, I mean, this talk about there being disruptions and things like that, I mean, he's embarrassing Republicans. Republicans are walking away from him. I mean, but look, like I said, I'm superstitious about predicting what an outcome is going to be until it happens. That's sort of who I am, how I've always run. And but I'm hopeful.
And let me take this across to all our reporters joining us. We've got our Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, joining us here in our studios. Geeta, good morning. High-pitched battle there in America. It all comes down to the next few hours. I also want to introduce our other reporters. We have Pratiksha Gildyal, senior journalist, joining us from Washington, D.C. Also, Seema Sirohi, senior journalist from Washington. Pratiksha, to you first. You know, you've been with us through the campaign over the last few months. It's going to be down to the wire, at least going by the numbers so far. But everyone seems to be talking at this point about two states, Florida and Georgia.
That's right, Akshita. But before I say anything else, I'd like to say the night is still very young.
Yeah.
These are still very early projections, but what looks like at this point from the various network projections that we are seeing is that so far President Trump has won a few, is projected to win a few states, and Joe Biden. President Trump will take Indiana, Kentucky, possibly Oklahoma and Tennessee. Joe Biden will win Vermont, Delaware, Maryland, Massachusetts, and New Jersey. Now, just like you said, Florida and Georgia are looking like toss-ups right now. Florida, a very, very fascinating state where margins are as thin as 1%. And for the last 1 hour, it's just been flipping from red to blue. Red is Republican, blue is Democrat, and it's just going red and blue and red and blue. So who knows how long it will take to call Florida, but a very fascinating state. And it remains to be seen whether Joe Biden would have made any dent in senior voters there, which was being projected, because that is one vote that Hillary Clinton lost last time.
Okay, Pratiksha, stay with me. Before I go across to Seema, let me just bring in Geeta also on this. Geeta, you know, a lot of states right now where counting is still underway. As Pratiksha said, perhaps too early to decide which way this is going to go. But even as, you know, there were several surveys that suggested that maybe it's going to be smooth sailing. At least initially they predicted it'll be smooth sailing for Biden. That's most definitely not going to be the case.
Well, not really, because again, these are early trends, and what the states that we're looking and watching out for is indeed, like Pratiksha said, Florida, but Texas is interesting because 38 electoral votes. Texas is an important state, and again, early trends looking blue might turn red. It just is a matter of the smallest of margins in the entire state will go to whichever candidate we're talking about over here makes the win. So there are very important states, but the states I'd be looking out for is Texas, Florida. Even if Biden loses Florida, there are many other options for him, several paths to the 270 marker. So let's wait and see what really happens in the other swing states.
As far as electoral votes go at this point, Trump's number's gone up to 61 from 55. Biden is at 85. So a lead there for Biden. Seema, you know, which are the states you're looking out for? Everyone's also been talking about Pennsylvania. We saw a very, very strong campaign by both Biden and Trump in that state.
Yes, I'm waiting for Florida. That is currently the most important state. If Trump loses Florida, then he loses the election pretty much. Yeah. So it's very important for him to win Florida. Pennsylvania will come a little bit later because of the delays in counting the mail-in ballots. Plus the Republicans are fighting very hard against a ruling that basically says you can count votes that don't even have a postmark and where the signature doesn't match. So it's a very sort of controversial decision, and there could be a long drawn-out court battle. Texas, I think, will remain red, because if Texas turns blue this time, then again, it's bad news for Trump. But the night is young, and Democrats are quite optimistic and quite confident because, as Geeta said, they have many paths to victory. Republicans have very few paths to victory.
Okay, so as far as Florida goes, they've always chosen the winning candidate, Geeta, since 1996. It'll be interesting to see which way Florida goes, because many say that whoever Florida votes for is the next president of America. I also want to focus on all the controversy surrounding this election. It's been, yes, a heated campaign. Last few hours, however, there's been a lot of talk about civil unrest. There's been a lot of talk about Trump not accepting the result. Do you see it going down that route?
Well, it all depends on the numbers. If there is clarity, if certain important states with significant numbers are called very clearly, then Trump would not have a choice. Going to court for states that that challenge decisions would be a later would be something that they will have to look at a little later in time, because if the states that are have significant numbers are called clearly, then Trump has no way out but to concede defeat. But then again, we've been reporting about what Trump has been saying. He's already been saying that there is a lot of problem when it comes to the mail-in votes. He's already called out a lot of the processes as not efficient enough, or has alluded to cheating. So we'll have to wait and see whether if he concedes defeat. But if there's clarity in certain states in terms of numbers, he would really not have a choice.
But just explain to me, you know, what it means for him to go to court. In what context does he then take it forward? What is the process that's followed for Trump to actually challenge this verdict in court?
So in states, there are certain states that they have already taken to court and have challenged decisions in terms of processes. And that is what we will be looking at in states where there would be challenge, where the process or the counting of votes in itself is challenged. And Pennsylvania certainly is a state that is going to go very late, because the mail-in, like Seema said, and very rightly so, they're going to count in their mail-in votes much later. So again, we'll have to wait and see whether if they're going to go to court in terms of the processes, if they have questions and they're challenging decisions of various states. Election in the United States of America, Akshita, is not a federal process. It's a state process. Every every state has its own decisions and processes that they have for every state, whether if it is voting or counting, and that's the reason why many states allowed early voting. Some states a little later. The dates of voting have differed in every state, and the procedures also in many ways are a little different in every state. So if there are challenges, there could be problems, they could be looking at a long run process, but that clarity we would only have if there is no clarity in numbers.
You know, as we track closely the results, there is something else also that did create quite a bit of flutter in India, Pratiksha, and that was Donald Trump Jr.'s tweet. I'm sure you've seen it, the world map, where he said, you know, who's Republican, who's Democrat. He's painted most of the world in red. That's expected. But what did, you know, garner a lot of eyeballs here in India is the fact that he painted India, a wrong India map at that. He's painted us Democrats.
That's right. I don't think Donald Trump Jr. particularly paid attention to the nuances of the region and how it can be a really sensitive issue in South Asia, how Kashmir is portrayed. I don't think he was looking at that aspect at all. He was just trying to, you know, show that most of the world supports his dad. And I have to say this evening, what is being leaked to the media from both the camps, from the Trump side and from the Biden side, is that they are showing a lot of confidence. This morning, President Donald Trump dialed into Fox News channel, where he dials in very frequently. It's his favorite news channel. And he said that he will win 300 plus electoral votes, which would be as good as what he got last time. And Joe Biden's side has been saying they are feeling really good tonight. They are full of energy and hope.
The number that he mentioned, that Trump has mentioned to, in fact, Fox News, which I also heard that conversation, over 30 minutes that he spoke to them, he, I think, mentioned the number as 306. So we'll have to see whether that actually happens. I just want to quickly break down the numbers at this point. As far as the counting goes in United States, it's still underway. The numbers at this point stand at Biden with a lead at 85 electoral votes, while Trump is at 61. Too early to really say anything about these numbers, to really say that, you know, Biden has a comfortable lead, because counting is still underway in most states. There is no state where the result has been fully declared at this point. So as the numbers stand, yes, Biden is leading, but it is going to be an intense battle, no doubt, for this electoral vote.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.